All right, welcome to Vibe Osmosis. How you doing today?
Good, how are you?
It's been a fun one and busy. Enjoying a classic Yosemite cup from Yosemite, where I used to live, and a brew pumpkin style. Um, Keeping it real today. Go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do.
I'm Chris Puterbaugh. I am a filmmaker, actor, director, kind of the all-in-one person. I'm currently in college for video production, so I'm looking to do this as like a career one day. But for right now, it's more like a hobby. I do have a YouTube channel that I do films on, so yeah.
And the latest one that I've seen was Extension. What were the other films you have out?
So we just did one called Ascension, this past January, or well, it released in May. We filmed it in January.
Okay.
Um, Prior to that, we did a film called Road Trip to Heaven last year, which was in August, and we had filmed that in March or April of last year. And then we had some films like the year before. Um, and I actually did a collaboration with another YouTuber that does films as well, and they're called 14th Hour Films. They do like pretty much what I do, but a little bit more. They have a different style film making that they do. So, yeah. So I've been at it for 6 years. I'd say for the last 2 years, I've been getting more into it professionally and getting a like different viewpoint on how to actually make good quality films. You see a big difference in the films we did from 2017 to now. So um, it's kind of cool to see the transformation of our YouTube channel and our content. So
Like when did you start school for film or get
I
into it?
actually just got enrolled this fall
Okay.
for at my community college I go to. So yeah, it's really exciting.
How old are you?
I'm 23, so I'll be 24 in February.
And what brought you to like making films or directing and writing and stuff?
So when I was in high school, me and my friends did a short film called Horror Stone, which is on our channel. That was like our first actual short film we did. We had no clue what we were doing, so it kind of reflects that in the film. But it was a story about these like kids that were getting haunted by a malevolent entity, and there's like a whole series on it that we did. But that one night we filmed it, I was like basically hanging out with my friends, and I'm like, why don't we just film something that sounds fun? Like, it just sounded intriguing to me, and ever since then, I've been doing this, so it's really been like a cool journey and cool adventure to go through and see all that.
What got you interested in doing like sci-fi stuff?
So I have watched a lot of like films, with like sci-fi elements and action elements. I don't know if you've heard of Divergent, but that really got me into the whole sci-fi filmmaking thing.
Okay.
Um, really love that franchise, even though they never finished it.
Yeah,
But
they tried.
yeah, yeah. I feel like they just wanted a money grab for that, and unfortunately, they did it the wrong way. So that's sad because I actually have all three books and read them. So, but yeah, I really do like the sci-fi element. Kind of going into the whole, dystopian aspect of things, just kind of the futuristic vibes, that kind of thing.
Do you know what your name means? Like Chris Puterbaugh.
Um, I really haven't looked it up. My last name is German, from what I was told. Um, so I know that I have some German in me, but my full name's Christian actually, but I don't really advertise myself as that on the internet.
Or know
Um,
what that means exactly, outside of the social constructs we might have.
um, Honestly, I think it's more like if I had to take a guess, it would have to be, someone who's got like good leadership qualities, someone who's like, you know, humanitarian, something like that. I don't really know.
Yeah, you say like making movies and stuff is a hobby. What would you say is another hobby outside of like your passion, maybe?
Honestly, probably working on cars, and not that I do that for like fun, but I have done it on my old cars before that I've owned. I've had like several Buicks and stuff that were from the 90s and early 2000s, so getting to work on those was really cool because you kind of get to see how like the internals of a car work, not the motor, but like brake pads, rotors, that kind of stuff. I did do like a couple like upper engine jobs on one of them, and that was intriguing to take apart the like intake manifold and see how that, played into the motor working and stuff like that. So I'd say car mechanics and all that would be something I'd like to do if I have to do it, but it's not really that intriguing to me unless, I'm having somebody help me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's a good trade or knowledge to have. So from what I've seen on Google, they say that the name makes you more approachable, overall free and feeling stuffy, can be a little tricky and mature, and also it comes from like a soothing sound. So I think
Mm.
that's a little funny aspect about the name. I'm always do you know what your astrology is? Do you follow that?
Yeah, I'm an Aquarius. I don't really go into the whole like chart thing, but I know that I'm an Aquarius, so
All right, so let's get into it. You have any favorite animals or pets?
I like cats. I've had guinea pigs, so I think guinea pigs are like my spirit animal. I had like 7 or 8 of them at a time, so I love them. Had 4 of them that passed away last year after my breakup, so that was kind of sad, but I mean, yeah, both of those are like, top 2 animals.
What about favorite movies for you? Do you have favorite movies?
Well, I just mentioned one of them. It was the Divergent series. I like the Avatar franchise, not the Airbender one, but the Blue Alien ones. Um, I'd say, the adventure movies were pretty cool. Um, Trying to think about anything else most recently. Um, I really don't know if I have any other ones. I really am not a big movie watcher, and I hate saying that, but it's the truth. So, or a TV watcher, even though
Like
I'm a
TV
film.
show person, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so what kind of TV shows do you get into?
Well, if you didn't hear about iCarly getting canceled, they just rebooted that like 3 years ago. So I watched that. That was pretty good. It was a remake. Well, it wasn't a remake. It was a follow-up slash a revival of the original show from Nickelodeon. They did 3 seasons of that, ended it on a cliffhanger. There was another show on Netflix called Another Life. That was a sci-fi series that I watched that also got canceled. The Vampire Diaries, that's a really good series.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, so those are kind of some that I've watched. Trying to think if there's anything else I've seen. Um, the Squid Games, that was pretty good.
Yeah, what do you think about the American version? Or like they did the series?
Challenge, I
Yeah.
have not seen that. I
It
heard
was
that there was
actually weird.
controversy over the actors and their payments and all that.
Huh. Yeah, I think if they are actually actors or just regular people, that I don't know, but I think like the challenges themselves tr actually doing that would be very difficult and also like a little competitive, especially like seeing how some of these people have like their family members in there with them. I think that part would really freak me out of like that level of competition and like how the other person's doing or trying to match them or not match them. And would you consider yourself a spiritual person?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. I just ordered myself a Bible today, even though I don't really identify with as a Christian anymore. So I did grow up Christian, and spiritually, I had an awakening last year after my breakup with my ex, and I've opened my eyes up to like, you know, the law of attraction, law of assumption, all that kind of stuff. I got into near death experience stories on Facebook, reading what the afterlife is like. So my views on religion have drastically changed. And like I said, I just got a Bible that I ordered off Amazon. And the only reason why I got it is because it felt like it wasn't, a message to be thrown down my throat. Because I was looking into different aspects of spirituality. And I thought, well, why don't I try to see if I can connect the dots and see if there's any similarities from what I've seen in the last year. So I still will probably never go back down that path of being a Christian anymore, unfortunately, but it's also really freeing to, have that, different viewpoint from growing up and then having a different perspective now. So it's also, it opens your eyes up to seeing different things instead of one narrow mindset, thing. So,
I definitely agree. I think finding higher power wherever you're at in life kind of happens naturally, or like you realize like after your journey or spiritual journey, like where you end up at or what kind of crossroads you meet. What would you consider like a guilty pleasure?
like in what retrospect?
Like going out, getting too drunk, like myself, anything.
Um, Honestly, I'd probably say the same thing. I like to go out to clubs with my friends, and I mean, I'm not a huge drinker, but I mean, I'll drink on the weekends if I go out to like a club or something with them. But I mean, I'm not like crazy, like involved in like drinking or anything like that. But I'd say that's probably one of the top ones. I like clubbing. I like going out and doing all that.
I think it's a little guilty for me. It's like if like whenever I go out in that regard because of like maybe how much I spend or how much I drink and then like end up throwing up and then going out to the next spot or whatever. Maybe a guilty pleasure would also be like buying too much cocaine and going through it in a night or a day, and then you're like, damn, I can't believe I spent $120 and it's gone that fast. Fuck. Do you have favorite songs?
Yeah, honestly, and this kind of goes back to our spirituality talk. So I do listen to a lot of Christian music, but not for the, the Christian aspect of it. I don't listen to worship songs. I listen to more contemporary Christian music. So like all the like upbeat songs that kind of like have that positive vibe to them. Um, just kind of uplifts my mood. I don't really base my music off of the lyrics. It's more just the vibe of the song. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that, and then I also like a lot of pop punk music like Avril Lavigne, MJK. I can tolerate some rap music, depends on what it is. Some country music, but that's pretty much my fortes. The first two.
For Christian music recommendation, I definitely recommend you checking out the artist Devin Lynn. They're amazing and they are Christian. And they make non-traditional Christian music. It's like a little avant-garde and indie, and also like a mixture of like today's elements of like what makes a pop song interesting and that kind of stuff. Yeah, she's an incredible, very cool artist. And also like very proud and vocal about their beliefs, which I think is, really awesome to still stick to your guns and express that in your art or your music. Um, and uh, I think like for me, like for rap music, I think like I mix it up here and there. Like maybe a guilty pleasure is still like listening to Kanye West. Like I listened to Vultures, that new album, and I mean, I'm a big on Playboy Cardi. I think like any of his songs about sucking dick is just like on point. I'm like, yeah, like gotta give it to him. It's amazing. And like sets a vibe and a tone. I feel like for that kind of like regard of like living your life free and not having to like worry too much about like the pressures of being you. I think that's something I think I find often in like rap music. Even I think to some degree in Drake's music, that the goat of rap music or whatever, I think as vulnerable as he puts himself out there, the music and stuff still speaks for itself. And also like with your own art and with your like film and stuff, I seen that you did the screenplay. Do you, like whenever you go into writing, are you trying to take like influences or inspirations, or are you trying to like zone out and like just like get a script done? How does that work for you?
I mean, so while we're at it, I have it right here.
Very cool.
This is a screenplay, which it's the one that we're doing up here in January. But
Gotcha. Okay.
basically, when I'm going into writing, it's like kind of playing the idea in my head, like um, what kind of story I want to make, and then how the characters are going to interact. It's like visualizing pretty much inside your head. And then you just put it onto paper, and then you put the different scenarios, like the characters' lines into it, and the scenes and environments and stuff. So,
How many like scenes would you say that you try to develop, or is it more about like the dialogue and how like the movement is? Is the scene something that you're really focused on, or is it more about who you can get involved in the project?
so with any film and being a filmmaker in general, you kind of have to do everything yourself, unless you are career-wise doing something, specific. But for me, as
Yeah.
a hobby, as a being a hobby for right now, I do everything on my own. So coming up with like the writing process, I had to have the idea in my head. Then I have to put that idea on the paper. And then from the paper aspect, you have to get a cast together, have them read over their lines, get them into the characters, visually assign them the characters. And then when you go to film, you have to incorporate the scenes that are on the script or the screenplay into the set. And then you have to film the scenes, in that environment, make sure that everybody's on par with their lines and their emotional aspects of their characters. Because if you're, acting out in dullness, it's just not going to be interesting. It's going to be very bland. And if you don't show the visual representation of what you're trying to display on the film, nobody's going to really care to watch because they're not going to get it. So that's one thing I have learned in the last like year is people want to see something interesting, not just random crap happening in the background.
Yeah, yeah. I from watching the latest release, one of the actors I thought was really compelling and very interesting and different was Tiffany Douglas, the mom.
Oh,
You know,
she's not.
yeah.
Yeah.
She like just brought everything she possibly could to this role, and I think what that to me was like okay, like this project has some heart and like a little bit of and also like with that film, where all did you shoot that? Like how did all those scenes come about?
Okay, so Ohio has very limited resources when it comes to filmmaking, and this film, the sequel,
Yeah,
um,
okay.
don't want to get into it because obviously we haven't done it yet, but when you're filming something sci-fi in a space or like in space in a space theme environment,
Yeah.
you really have to like use what you got to bring that to life. And so the first movie which we did, Ascension, um, we used the Air Force Museum to kind of like show they call it COSA. We call in the film it's COSA. It's a City Ordnance Space Administration for short. Um, and they're a group that is basically like a government trying to launch a program to get humanity off the planet before it dies. Um, and so like incorporating that kind of theme into real life is really hard because you don't have many sets or resources to make that happen. So, when I was filming, I was like, well, where are we going to film this at? Like, And I was like, well, the Air Force Museum sounds pretty neat. I mean, they got spaceships there, so we'll use that. So it also, people were kind of questioning how that was going to look in the movie. And as a filmmaker, you kind of have to look at that aspect too. You don't want people thinking like, oh, well, you shot that at the Air Force Museum. This looks stupid. And in some scenes, you can kind of tell that there is kind of that aspect, like, oh, they're in some sort of building, but you don't really know unless you've been there.
I
Um,
agree. I agree. Or to any if you've been to anything like it.
but yeah, when that was being filmed, that was a hard thing to accomplish, especially because we had everybody around us. So we had to like go around them. We had to pause when people jumped into the frame. It was kind of a hard thing to do, but and then also we had to cut some scenes out of the screenplay because obviously we couldn't fit that into the film on a realistic level. So yeah, that's kind of how that worked.
And it's for real, like realistically, almost it's so interesting how throughout every day of the week that this Air Force Museum is open, that there's still people there from like almost the time it closes. I've been there a handful of times, family and non-family, going with friends or a partner or whatever, and like always amazed on how much like actual foot work that they get and how many people foot traffic that they get. I'm like, got to give it to them on that aspect because I feel like it's kind of like a niche thing to go and see, even if you're going free.
Yeah.
Which I think it might always be free. I can't even remember. It's been a couple of years now, maybe before COVID. And to tie back into the theme, the elements of your latest film, the fear of the world ending. Would you consider that like a deep fear that you have or that you share?
Honestly, I mean, with the way the things have happened in the Middle East, I feel like there is a possibility that things could go shit crazy, but I really feel like, I mean, anything could happen, but we are in a time where people have self-control and know right from wrong to an extent rather than just, you know, getting up and doing some crazy shit like they did back in the 1960s and stuff, or 40s back in the World War happened. But
Yeah, definitely. Crazy shit's been happening for a long time.
I honestly feel like if that were something to happen, I mean, unfortunately, that's just what happens if, that kind of conflict broke out. But I think if, I think in general, I really don't know, to be honest, because the way the world is, it's like there's so many different ways we could, annihilate ourselves, or each other. So, um, I would hope that that doesn't happen anytime soon. I think people have lives to live and stories to tell. So,
Well, like in this instance, like what would you say like why people feel fear that like actually like pose like no like immediate threat to them? Like right now, like their day is at endings, but there's still like that fear. Like why do you think that like something feeds that?
um, honestly, fear for people probably is driven by the aspect of the unknown. I feel like people will, fear things that aren't even here yet because they are constantly looking for that.
Yeah.
Uh, that's one reason why I left religion, because religion has a lot of fear-based tactics that they use to control the masses and really put people into this, enclosed space of like, oh, any day now, this could happen. Like, and it makes your life miserable and it makes you like, it just shuts you down and you don't want to do anything with yourself. And it makes you like question everything and it breaks a lot of, you know, boundaries and trust with people and situations and environments. So, I mean, honestly, like, I think that in general, fear is just something that um, people have, because they are either A, given that, constant, oh, this is going to happen because they're used to that, or, they're in an environment where that's something that continuously happens and, they have no other way of viewing life than, oh, this is bound to happen, kind of like I just said. So,
Yeah, like for me personally, like whenever I was younger, like 18, 19, and 20, I was experimenting a lot with, sexuality and like trying to find out exactly like where I fit in the spectrum, queer spectrum, and like also trying to see like well, because I did, have a threesome with these people, does that now condemn my soul, to hell because like X, Y, and Z was in factor, and like because prior I was growing up believing in Christianity as well, and then I started dating a non-binary person that I got slightly engaged to for a brief period of time, and throughout that little period of time, they kind of like opened up my eyes to like the other aspects of life as far as like that fear of maybe like things aren't being accepted, like how to let that stuff go. And I think that also plays a really big part to me personally on that like on that journey of like what maybe like I wish people were less afraid of. And one thing, especially is like wishing people were less afraid of judging other people or accepting other people or thinking because of their sexual identity that they're different than like who you maybe think or perceive. That's one of the like dichotomies or constructs that I think I wish people could have more of a grip on, other than like quickly to categorize things and that kind of stuff. Do you know like a moment or turn point for you where you kind of maybe like had to like let go of those aspects of fear?
yeah, so in high school, I came out to pretty much everybody. And
Yeah,
I had some people that lived down the street from me that basically shamed me into thinking like what I was doing was wrong and I was going to go to hell for it, all
of
these different things.
course. Definitely.
So I had to like really, and this has been like a few years of me looking back, and the big stepping stone was actually last year during my breakup. But
Cool.
my last 4 years of knowing who I am really has opened my eyes up to that one moment in my life where I was told that me being who I was a damning thing, which really is never was. It was just an unknown, character trait that I have been encompassing for the last 20 something years of my life. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but basically, during that time that I was, in high school and had that fear and guilt and gaslighting things being thrown at me, it was like really pushing me into this dark hole of like, oh my God, I got to do this and this and this in order to be, you know, basically like in the good. Um,
Yeah, of course. Or yeah, accepted or in the norm or something. Yeah, I agree.
and like I said, over the last 4 years, I've really changed my mindset on things. Um, Looking back wise, because like I said, last year I had a spiritual awakening and really changed my mindset on spirituality and how life really is. And I really have turned a whole 360 and started being who I really am without that fear and guilt and shame part. And
Yeah.
that's what I've been to near-death experiences, because it really sheds some light on the true aspect of this world and how what is to come after we die. It's not all, you're going to hell, like judgment, fear, all that. No, it's totally different. It's kind of cool. So, and I know I mentioned earlier I got a Bible, and actually I went to the Green, which is a shopping center over here in Beaver Creek where I live. Um, and they have like a book section for spirituality and all that. And something caught my
Yeah.
eye. It's like, I wonder if they have any Bibles that will like interest me. And Sure enough, I caught this one. It's called The Message, and it's just a modern day interpretation of the Bible, and it's a contemporary style of language, so it's easy to understand. And in the clobber passages, which a lot of Christians use against gay people, they're worded differently in the Bible that I got, and it actually made me think like, oh wow, this is cool. Like, there's a different take on this instead of like all these condemning verses that I was ever, shown back, a few years back and still have been told about. And that in itself really kind of opened up another perspective to me. Like there's no right or wrong way to get into, the afterlife. As long as you're a good person, I feel like everything's gonna be fine. And you just you'll, love others and do what, you would do as you would do onto others as you would yourself in a good loving way, I would assume. And that would, you know, so yeah, my perspective has definitely changed about all that over the last 5 years because, I have gone down that dark, hellish realm of, oh well, if I'm gay, I'm going to hell, that it's just something I could not fathom and understand. So
What would you say is like an early good memory of working on like a film or your artistic work?
um I've had a couple. So the Horror Stone series, which I did back in 2017 and 18. Um, that was when I was in high school. I did a series with that, and my friends that were literally down the street from me, we all got together and made this film. And I just remember picking them up, and we would go film and get lunch and just have fun. It's just like it was just one of those like things that was just fun to do. And then um, I'd say more recently, like we did a film called Road Trip to Heaven in 2022. That kind of was a new experience because I got to interact with people on a personal level based on our faith and our beliefs, and that was pretty cool. So, um, and then trying to think, our movie premieres, which we've done like three of them in the last 3 years, um, that's an interesting take on the film world because I have premiered like three of our films, like I said, at the movie theater down in Austin Landing, which is in Ohio,
Yeah,
and
okay.
premiered our films there, and having an audience of like 20 to 30 people was pretty cool. So it just kind of shows it's just very nostalgic to me. It's very fun to encompass all that.
Like, are you a big reader? Are you, yeah, like you mentioned, you're into the Divergent series. Is there any other like books or series that you've read that you would like want to bring to life on film?
Honestly, I've not really gotten into any books of it since then, and I know that's crazy, but I have not. And also like that was something speaking of bringing books to life on a film, since I never did finish the Divergent movies, I really did consider going to Lionsgate, which is the owner
Yeah.
of the franchise. And I was like thinking, well, why don't I just email them and be like, if I wrote you a screenplay for that film, would you consider remaking it or doing it? But I had gotten some advice from filmmakers on Facebook, and they're all like, yeah, they cut the film from their lineup because they obviously thought it wasn't going to make a profit. So I just, that was a sad realization that sometimes you just can't, push walls that are, built too high, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, one of the big ones I'm really interested in shooting a shot with is like Blumhouse. I think
Mhm.
like how they done like the paranormal activities with like a low budget and then it getting blown up. Like I'm really interested in that aspect of like a lo-fi shitty horror film that is paranormal scape, because I think like that realm of genre, um, It's like it's always about like monsters, creatures, and like stuff that's like revived from the 80s or taken from other movies and stuff. There's only like few ones that you see as like truly like original or organic. And that's one of the like main ones where I'm like I would try to do something where you wouldn't see that maybe as like a normal horror type style. What's your take on like Jordan Peele stuff? Are you a fan? Or you have favorite directors?
Michael Bay is pretty good.
Yeah, Michael
Uh,
Bay is definitely has a solid rep.
James Cameron, obviously. Like I said, I haven't really gone into too many films. I know I'm a filmmaker, but I have not watched a whole lot of films. But yeah, those are just a couple. I mean,
Yeah. What would you say about like weird like David Lynch, David Cronenberg type of like noir freaky superstitional kind of stuff? Are you a fan of that kind of element too?
I haven't heard of those.
David Lynch, Twin Peaks creator, Mulholland Drive, Eraserhead. My favorite's Blue Velvet. I mean, I'm like I don't know, I'm a fan of some of these like weirder takes on film. Like one of the ones I'm really big on is like Ari Aster. I went to see Beau is Afraid in theaters, and I think like Joaquin Phoenix take on that character is so interesting, and that's what makes it really compelling because you're so like conveyed and like believing in like what that character is going through. Do you have like any favorite actors or actresses that you'd like want to work with or like write something for them to be in?
So basically, like going back to the Divergent movies, Shailene
Yeah.
Woodley,
Oh
um,
yeah.
she's awesome. I seen one of her films recently called what was it? To Catch a Killer. That
Oh
was pretty.
yeah. That was really cool. I agree.
Mm.
I'm a big fan of Ben Mendelsohn too. Or I don't know, he's not in that one, but Ben Mendelsohn's one of the ones where I know he's like collaborated with her, and I think he's such an interesting actor, being from like Australia and like doing all these different kinds of accents that you're like I wouldn't even believe where you were from. Yeah, but yeah, she's a great shout out. What other kind of actors or actresses that you'd want to put in?
Honestly, Timothy Chalamet, he seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know who else.
I was really hoping that they'd do Call Me by Your Name too. I'm like I'm still a fan of Army Hammer. I'm like I don't give a fuck about whatever's going on. Like put him in another movie.
Timothy Chalamet, Shailene Woodley. Uh, who else? Not a whole lot. I don't really know. I mean,
Who were the stars that you adored growing up watching, like younger?
hmm. I mean, Miranda Cosgrove from iCarly, Victoria Justice, they're all really cool. I'd say, just the childhood stars that I grew up watching on TV.
I want to say was it the Dobrev girl that was in Nina Dobrev that was in Vampire Diaries. I watched her recent film that she's in, Lovesick or something like that, or Dope Sick, or I forget exactly where she like pretends she has cancer to like get all her friends coming back together and like that to me was just like such a relatable role because yeah, like as you grow older and you see like everybody kind of like shape and form into their own lives. Like that difficult or that challenge that you face on trying to always like get back to like those youthful good days of like shooting the shit and not having much to worry about. We'll get into some classic vibe osmosis questions. All right. If you were stranded on an island and you could only bring one thing with you, what would you take?
Well, probably my phone, even though that would probably be useless on an island. Actually, yeah, let's just get rid of electronics because they'll be dead within like hours. I would say food, a shelter, like a sleeping bag, a tent, um, probably like a fire starter kit, blankets, probably some like pepper spray in case like animals try to attack you. Um,
These are the essentials. I think that you are giving out some of the most actual logical, clever answers than any other person has given. Like sometimes whenever they say like a book, I'm like, what the fuck is that book gonna do? Like eventually you're gonna be shredding up that book because you read it so many times and like, using it for firewood or whatever. But what would you say is like a challenge that you face working on a film?
mm, Conveying my story. I feel like sometimes when it's in my head, it's very straightforward, and when you're going onto the screen and filming the actual thing, it's totally different. And then also probably constructing a cast and crew together and directing everybody's positions and times.
Yeah.
A
What
challenge.
would you say is like your favorite part about writing a script?
Being able to envision a world and characters and environments that, seem kind of out of the reach and putting that into like real life, honestly.
If you could travel in time, would you go forwards or backwards?
Honestly, forwards, because sometimes, if you know what's coming, you can probably change the course of what's coming.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, in the
Um,
past, change the past. You'd probably alter what's happened now.
how
So
how how far in the future though?
I'd say like 20, 30 years.
Okay, so you might still be alive if you're lucky.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most interesting things. I think like going like beyond your lifetime, beyond your lifespan. I think that to me really interests me on like the time machine aspect, especially like going backwards before you were even born, like seeing like maybe like what other family members that you before you even thought of, or like how your parents were when they were kids and that kind of stuff. Like that's one thing I think I can really relate to. If you could have three superpowers, what would your three superpowers be?
Honestly, probably being the most loving, kindest, caring person in the world, which I feel like that would be one of the most important ones.
Yeah.
I'd say the second one would probably be um, more spiritually enlightened, meaning like I can know things that others probably wouldn't know, so I could kind of make a change in the world. Um, and then also um, probably having good health, like all around, like from, my skin to my body physically and, you know, um, aging, like I would not age.
Yeah, that might be a superpower for sure. Having a infinite lifespan of sorts or not being able to die. That's probably one of the most deepest thing. What would you think you would experience if you never were gonna die? Do you think that you would still like want to connect with other people even though like you once did, or would you still like constantly like find ways to live or reasons to live?
Probably more reasons to live and impact people's lives. Um, I feel like the more time you have, the more good things you can bring to the table on this planet. I think like the whole purpose of living here is to learn lessons and to make an impact on your journey here. But um, honestly, yeah, probably those two things.
Well, this one's going to be the last vibe osmosis question. I appreciate you taking this time to join the show, and it's been fun. Um, this is the last one. What would your ultimate last meal be?
Hmm. Probably a salad.
All right, so are we talking classic romaine and lettuce, or a fancy salad? What kind of salad we talking?
Probably a Cobb salad with chicken, tomato, cucumber, cheese. That sounds really good.
Yeah, I have to say that sounds like a great dinner. Well, yeah, it's been awesome. Thank you for joining the show. I'll keep in touch.
Oh, no problem. And just for the people out there that do check out our YouTube channel,
Yeah,
we filmed the sequel to Ascension in January, and if all goes well, we should have a release probably within 4 months after that. And we're excited to see where that goes. But
me too. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what you got cooking up.
yep. So looking forward to new and exciting things for 2024.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hope you have a good rest of your day. All right, I'll definitely keep you posted on all this.
You too. Thanks.
Thank you.